In case you don't know, I'm a big fan of Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, nga naman Robert Jordan ko. Okay. Hey guys, it's me Genjali, Bisaya Reader, and welcome to another video. And for today, I'm going to share with you guys the books that I finished recently. Just a heads up, I'm going to present to you only 2 books because it's just the number of books I've finished reading since I last posted a video on this channel. So the very first book I actually finished reading this a couple of days ago, was the book that I started reading back in 2019. So imagine, I read this book for in a span of 3 years. It took me 3 years to finish reading this book, and that is because I have been reading it and then put it back on the shelf, reading it again after a few months, and then put it back again, and then pick it and read it again after several months. So it took me 3 years to really finish it. But I'm going to make this clear as early as now that the main reason, even though I finished reading this in the span of 3 years, I still love this book. And the main reason why I was not able to finish reading it as fast as possible was because of its thickness. It's probably almost 1,300 pages, and it's a mass market paperback edition, and the fonts are really small. And in case you're wondering what book is this is going to be The Words of Regents by Brandon Sanderson, the second book of the Stormlight Archive, the sequel to The Way of Kings, which I really love. I read The Way of Kings back in 2018, and a few months after I started reading this, and yeah, the rest is history. So fast forward to 2022, exactly several days ago, I finished reading this one, and I was mind blown. Second reason, and probably the last reason why I wasn't able to finish this book as fast as possible, is that because I don't feel the pressure of reading this. In case you don't know, the series is still ongoing. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's planned to be a 10-book long fantasy series, and as of this moment, while I'm filming this, the author Brandon Sanderson only released 4 books, and I don't know when he's going to release the 5th one. So there's really no pressure in me to, read the series as fast as possible, because I don't want to put myself into a situation where I need to wait for several years for the next installment. But hey, the good thing about this right now, while the 5th book is still not released yet, I have the luxury of reading book 3, which is Oathbringer. I have my physical copy there, and thank God it's going to be in a large paperback edition. And then I have The Rhythm of War, the 4th installment, which I have in a hardcover edition. So I will not be talking more about this book because I won't spoil you guys, for those especially that haven't read the first book yet. But in case you're planning to pick this series or starting to dive into the series, please be warned, they're really long. It requires commitment, but it's really worth it. It's high fantasy and great characters, especially character development in this one, and there are really a lot of mind-blowing scenes on The Words of Regents, which I really want to share with you guys, but I can't because I don't want to spoil you. But anyway, I really love this, especially the last third of this book. It was really full of actions, full of, especially the last part, the epilogue. I can't wait to pick the Oathbringer. I don't know if I'm going to pick this year, or I'm just going to have a delayed gratification and pick it next year. So we'll see. Next book I finished reading, actually finished reading it a couple of minutes ago, and that's going to be Clara in the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I know Kazuo Ishiguro because of his work Never Let Me Down, which actually Kazuo Ishiguro won the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature a couple of years ago. because I was really following that award in that year because it was him versus him versus who's the author of 1284, um Haruki Murakami. And I was really rooting for Haruki Murakami to win that award, the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature that year. But it was Kazuo Ishiguro, another Japanese Asian um, writer who won. But and so this is actually Clara and the Sun, my recent read. It's actually the first book I've read from him. And the main reason why I picked it because it's part of the list that was given to me to read in the so-called BookTube Prize for fiction for year 2022. I'm actually a judge, and it's on the bracket E, and I'm a judge in bracket E. So we're given a list of 5 books in bracket E to read and judge and rank them, so that the top 2 books, after all of the judges in bracket E, the average score, the top 2 books with the highest average score will proceed to the next round. So yeah, I read Clara and the Sun, and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't like it. I know that a lot of people did not really love it, didn't really like it since it was released last year. But I still gave it a try, give it a go because I love science fiction, and I know that the Clara and the Sun is a science fiction book, but it's more of actually a literary fiction. But there's, of course, a science fiction element. I was actually hooked on the first pages, but it just didn't work for me in the end. There's no there's no element that will really keep you moving. It will keep you browsing the page after page. It's actually really sad. It kind of bored me. It was really slow paced. There's really no plot, to be honest. I know that it's not a plot driven book. It's a character driven book. But um, even though if it's a character driven book, I still believe that there's really something that the reader should really look forward while he or she is reading the book. And that's something that I did not see from the Clara and the Sun. It was just boring, to be honest. But it was not that bad. I gave it 3 stars. 3 stars is an average read. There were actually bits and pieces that I really appreciate from the book. The writing style was really okay. It was fine. It was not flowery. It was direct to the point. It was really easy to read. Um, the characters were actually um, well written. It was actually well written. It will really work well constructed. It was just the overall impression of mine with the book. It it just felt blank. I mean, if I have to judge it in terms of food, it lacks some spices. It needs something that can elevate. I know it could have been elevated so that it could be a better experience for us as readers. I don't know. It was just my personal experience, and yeah, I still gave it 3 stars because of the characters. The characters were, especially Clara. Um, she was consistent. She was well written, but overall, um, while reading the last pages of the book, I just felt hollow in a bad way because there were no takeaways. There were, of course, takeaways, but there were no big takeaways that will make me remember the book for the upcoming days. So yeah, it was borderline forgettable. But anyway, yeah, it's still a 3 star read, and I can't wait to see the next books that I'm going to read. I'm currently planning to read. Let me just get these books first. Uh, okay, this one I presented these books to you already. This one, the first one, I actually started reading this. I made some progress, but again, because of some trigger warnings, the Midnight Library by Matt Haig, I'm really not into finishing this as soon as possible because of the triggers. Next is this one, The Distillation called Peace. I really love the first book. It actually won the, what was that, Hugo Award for best science fiction books last year. So yeah, I picked this one, the second book. This is the sequel, and I made some progress also. I'm actually on page 55, and yeah, I'm not in a hurry to finish reading this, and I'm still actually really enjoying it. The writing style is still superb. Now, this one, some light and just a fast read. The Underneath by Katie Apple. There's cats and there's a dog in the book, in the cover, and on the premise. And I read so far this year 2 books with cats as main characters. So I'm going to keep the ball rolling, be consistent, and read more books with cats and dogs in the story. So yeah, I'm going to pick this one, and I'll probably also consider picking um the Rain, the Dog in the Rain. I'm not sure. I forgot the title. And lastly, I'm considering picking this huge guy. The Light of All That Falls by James Allington. This is the third and final book of the trilogy, the Licinius trilogy. I really love the first 2 books. I'm a big fan of this trilogy. I was actually trying to, or originally planning to read this last year in 2021, but my dear friend Raf told me that I need to wait for him to finish reading the book 2 because he just read book 1 last year. Unfortunately, it has been almost 6 or 7 months since he promised, and he still haven't started book 2 yet. So my hands are really, itching to pick this one, and I cannot wait for him. So I just really need to tell him that I'm sorry, I just can't wait that long. I really want to know how the story will end, and the longer I'm going to not read this, the more information, or the more stuff from the first 2 books that I'm going to forget, and I'm really scared that it might affect my reading experience on this third and final book. So yeah, sorry Ralph, I'm sorry, but please forgive me. I am going to read this really soon, if not this March, probably before my birthday on May, so probably next month, or on May, early first week of May. Yeah, so that's it. Those are the books I'm planning to read, and thank you so much for watching this video. This is just a quick update. This is me again, Joel, your beside reader. See you in the next upload. Bye bye.